Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Beyond the Bid. Today, you're here with Simon and Nick from Suppliant, and we have Sam, Simona, and myself, Alex, your host, representing 94N. So today, we're going to be switching things up a little bit. Instead of picking a particular topic, we are going to have Nick, Mr. Morton, the chair of the call, and he will be, in his infinite wisdom, leading and directing us in terms of the conversation. So something new. Hope you guys enjoy. Nick, I hand it over to you.
Infinite wisdom. There is a
I
pedestal
thought
to
you'd like
fall
that.
off for very, very quickly. Yeah, hi everybody. What we want to do is we want to debate topics, and we want to invite people to join in these topics and essentially create that boardroom opportunity so that you can see the sort of things that we're talking about and hopefully take some of those things away. As Alex has already said, in the room, we've got myself, Nick Moore, and I'm one of the directors of Supplying. We deal in e-commerce primarily. Simon, do you want to do a quick intro to yourself and just a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so I'm the operations director here at Spline. I think I've been with the business for probably about 12 or 13 years now. Predominantly manage we'll call it the larger clients in the business, and also migrations and larger projects.
Right, cheers. Alex, do you want a quick intro?
Sure. So I am the madman and maniac behind the concept of the brand that is not in. The gentlemen with brains are Simone and Sam, and we try and make it work with the three of us and yourselves included to build a fun and adaptable e-commerce team.
Sounds good. Sam, you want to do a quick intro?
Yeah, I can do. Yeah, so one of the co-founders of the UK arm of what is 94M agency and in-house background for Google Ads, PPC mainly. But yeah, like a view on the data as well. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Sam. Simone, do you want a quick intro?
Yeah, let's go. So yeah, co-founder of 94 in UK, looking after the operations as well, like across the two businesses, like 94 in UK and Latvia, with a particular inclination in working with e-commerces.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, guys. Okay, well, look, what I really want to see if to start with is any idea of what's gone well this week, what's gone really badly this week. And really what we're looking for is to see if we can identify if there's any topics that we've dealt with that we want to help each other with, to see if we can help solve, put some color into the decision making, and really see if we can help each other out a little bit. So from my side, I guess one of the challenges this week has been about, just from a purely business point of view, staying on top of working with the client, making sure the comms are good, making sure that we are always present with the client, and making sure that the level of communication is the right fit for a client. And sometimes the expectation of what we think is right is not enough for the client. And sometimes it's managing that expectation and vice versa. So I guess that's the challenge I've been dealing with this week. Anybody else got any big challenges this week?
Well, we've been bashing our heads against the wall thinking about our sales strategy and how we do lead gen as an agency, and working and figuring out all the platforms, how to do outreach without A, pissing someone off, and B, hitting your target market is more difficult than we expected, especially given the fact we've been doing, obviously, digital marketing for quite a few years. The landscape changes so quickly, even for us living and breathing it every day. So that's where I would say, personally, we've been making progress, but still hitting a roadblock.
Brilliant. Thanks, Alex. Anybody else got anything that's been happening this week?
You're on
Just
mute,
on
Simone. Sorry,
mute,
Alex.
Simone.
Unmuted.
Thank you. So the marketing efficiency ratio, applying the concept at product level rather than business level. So how efficient are we in investing money on each product, and are we actually hitting the profit margin for each product, which has some pros and cons, but is it's been a big topic for me in the last couple of weeks, maybe 3 already.
That's for the
Sounds
call.
good. That definitely sounds like something worth exploring. See if we could learn a little bit more about that. If you're happy to share that, Sam,
Yeah.
Simon, you got anything that's gone well or something that could be better?
Yeah, I've got one. It's a bit more. It's not a problem in a problematic sense, if that makes sense. It's a positive. It's like clients that are doing well, where do we go next? Because we've had that conversation, luckily, through hard work, a couple of times recently as to which channel we would go after. From when I say next, Google Ads first, and then now, okay, you're doing well there. What do we propose for said client? That'd be the one. It's not a problem, but a topic that's come up quite a lot.
I think
So
that's a
looking at-
really good one, actually. Sorry, I was
Yeah.
just going to say, because I'd probably say more so, even for me and the clients I managed in the last 2 years or so, with us predominantly working on Shopify, because I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, we'd have a lot of bespoke platforms which were really tricky to manage from a dev perspective. And you could spend, say, 3 months in one block using up all of the time allocation to implement something as simple as like an upsell strategy, something like that. And nowadays with Shopify, it's okay, great. Well, here's 3 apps off the shelf. I'm going to install all 3 in a single afternoon, see which one works. And by Thursday, we're going to have you set up with upsells. See, you've gone from this kind of, especially from a website optimization perspective, something that could take an entire quarter of strategy and implementation to deliver to, well, we talked about it on Tuesday, and come the following Monday, we're getting some additional sales in off of it. And I've got a particular client that I've worked with. It'll be our 2-year anniversary actually this month. We spent the first.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
How are you celebrating?
You need the little.
Making more money.
Wait for it.
Yeah, wait
for
for
it.
it. Let's come here.
Wait.
No.
It's even funnier that Alex's face is just closing at that comment. There you go.
I honestly feel like we're on a late Saturday night talk show. It's fantastic.
We like to position ourselves as the premium end of production, and I think these sound. There you go. You see, this is what it's all about. This is the fun you get on this call. Sorry, Ben, as you were saying.
So get the train of thought back.
Sorry.
So we basically spent maybe the first year or something kind of going like top to bottom through the website. Conversion rate goes from 1.5% to 3%. And you think, okay,
That's
great.
impressive.
We're on a good run here. But then to the kind of second year is, okay, great. Well, we've kind of done everything with the website, and there's going to be absolutely no value to us or the client just making tweaks now for the sake of it. So what are the channels that we get, as Sam said, get after? What are the areas can we break into? And I think for us, especially on the agency side, is that there's always new ideas, and we're always kind of, I suppose, at the forefront of new tech. But at the same time, it does feel sometimes like there's a bit of a plateau to say, well, where can we go next with it? Or is it just the case of we maintain the strategies that we've implemented, but we put more resource into it to grow those channels out more? And I suppose it's a bit of a balance between always having to come up with new ideas versus here are a series of ideas we implemented and it works really well, so let's just keep doing more of that and helping out on the resource.
I don't want to stop you in your flow, but I think, look, there's a lot we talked about in the previous couple of sessions talking about how we're looking at optimizing different channels and things like that. And what we want to do is see if we can pick up on one of these conversations and explore it in a little bit more detail, which would be a really good thing to do. So, yeah, Si, have you had anything else this week that has been sort of a real positive or not so good?
No, I think
if not, we can move the train along, right?
Okay, yeah.
All right, we can move it along. So what I'd like to do now then is for all of us to just think about what we've heard, and to pick what we would like to most explore in terms of these conversations. From my position, I'd like to explore a little bit more about what Sam said, and I think, Simon, you've already identified quite a bit around that, but also Simone, what you were talking about too. Anybody else around the room? Is there anything else that stood out as things that we particularly want to explore? And maybe what we'll do is we'll ask them to just talk a little bit more about it in terms of putting some context on that.
I think the one I raised there, we've kind of covered off in the previous sessions we've done a little bit. Like we've talked about scaling and cross-channel.
Unsuccessfully, though, I will add.
Well, Simone's yours is a little bit of a different topic. Again, Nick, you lead what you think on that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, marketing efficiency ratio in today's day and age is a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, it is.
Like, be it product level, channel level, like global level, whatever. I think it's becoming more and more important to at least have one eye on it when you're trying to scale with paid advertising and even organic, just generally, just understanding the overarching input that goes into your e-commerce store, and what really provides what kind of lifts, because as we all know, attribution's a total shit show, and having this, be it on product or just overall level, I think it's an important calculation to keep your eye on.
Okay, so Alex, what would you like to discuss today? Which of these topics do you think stands out?
Let's dive into marketing efficiency ratio. I think it's more people should hear about it. I think it's an effective way to manage your e-commerce store, be it with an agency or in-house. And what Simone is doing is really cool. I've never seen anyone really do it on a product level. So we could maybe stop top and then think about how we utilize it
Okay.
at the micro level.
Binners, is there anything else? Is anything you specifically like to go into?
I think we're good on that front, to be fair.
Okay, great. So Simone, if you're happy to, what we can do is for you to just really explain a little bit more about what it is that you're doing and some of the challenges that you've come up against in terms of implementing that. And then what we're going to do is each have the opportunity, once you've done that, to really ask questions. And what we want to do at the point of asking questions is not to come up with solutions. Because if we come up with solutions before we fully understand the problem, potentially we're going to give some bad advice. So what we need to do is just have the opportunity, just a couple of minutes, Simone, just to talk about that situation and what you're trying to achieve, and like say some of the things that people may need to look out for, and then we can start to come in with some questions, and then at the end of that we can then go into a process. If I were in your shoes, then this is probably what I would do. It's not necessarily that you've got a problem where we would say if I were in your shoes, but it may be if a customer was looking at this, or we could look at it then that way. Sorry,
I said, do I need to sign a disclaimer before I offer up some bad advice about?
I like that. Like, hold on,
Well,
let's
generally,
call our legal department.
As
Yeah, I was
long
gonna
as you've
say,
heard
get 'em on
somebody
the-
out, right? There's nothing worse than jumping in. It's like, actually, I forgot to tell you that something fundamentally
You're
happened.
legally liable for what you say.
Everybody did sign the disclaimer, right?
Yeah. By watching this video, we have no legal ramifications that could happen to any 5 of us. Please.
Right, Simone, do you want to explain a little bit more about this concept then? Just on mute, Simone.
Right. So like these, just the concept of marketing efficiency ratio, right, is like every paid media platform or every advertising platform or every investment that you do in advertising, like a kind tend to over-report on the numbers, or like it's not very clear what is the exact return of investment when you spend some money on ads or when you spend some money on SEO, etc. So like you work on marketing efficiency ratio to understand like, okay, I've spent X, these are my fixed costs, this is my return, and this is the marketing efficiency ratio, right? So this is what you do a lot with your clients, because like you tend to handle several channels from SEO to the new website to paid media, etc. From our point of view, instead, is a little bit more difficult because we mainly look after paid media.
All right, Simone, we'll just talk amongst ourselves for a little while. It's fine. I love that. I love that fact that you're mid-flow on probably the world's second most important podcast, and then somebody then rings the doorbell. I mean, you know what? This is the way we roll, right?
I'm back.
We're okay with this.
Right. So
this is more like check my cribs, isn't it? Like MTV cribs. It's that more that sort of thing, isn't it? Really.
It's agency life. We're good at fighting off distractions, I guess, aren't we? Juggling the load.
So I was saying, so for us, it's a little bit more difficult because we look after paid media mainly. So like the concept of marketing efficiency ratio.
Okay, so now we seem to have an internet connection.
Terrible.
Hang on, can we have a quack? Can we have a quack or a bang on the drums, please? Because this is just absolutely brilliant.
Drum roll.
Sorry, Simone, we're just saying we've just lost.
There you go.
We're just saying the internet connection just bailed out on us a little bit, so we just lost you when you were halfway down the hallway.
Right.
But yeah, please come on.
Okay.
We got the first part.
Oh, sorry guys, I've got problems. Sorry, just need to go.
Life. So while Simone is going to continue explaining this, I thought I was looking for a diagram that I thought could be applicable to show the audience, but I haven't found one, so I'm making one very quickly.
Yeah, I was going to just put point in as well. Like this is wider than just looking at it from a paid advertising perspective as well. This is really interesting to e-commerce business owners in general, allocating budget, and it's a wider business concept as well, because it can be applied in other areas of business in how they use it as a concept, to be fair. But yeah, focusing it on marketing, I think you're back, Simone, so you can go.
Yes, I'm back. It should be right. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
So like I was saying for us it's more difficult because we look after paid media mainly, and it's far more difficult for us just to get people to buy the concept of marketing efficiency ratio because maybe the business like it does an investment on SEO as well. So it is like, okay, I invest 10K with you guys, but let's don't forget that I'm also investing 5K on SEO with these other companies. So like, what is the real truth here, right? So it's a little bit more difficult to get them to buy it. And also whenever you work with businesses with a large inventory, for example, right? Like you have to prove that you are spending the money on the products that are converting. And the problem, like always, is are you actually spending the money on these products or not? So this is a problem that I'm currently facing with a business in UK that sell outdoor storage boxes or home office equipment as well as home fitness equipment. So they sell these products. In total, we talk about 40 to 50 products. Every product has a different profit margin. We carefully invest money on each product just to understand, like, okay, are we profitable? Are we not profitable? Not overall, but for every specific product. So it's very, very granular. So this kind of led me to kind of try and understand how we were doing for each product from this marketing efficiency ratio, and kind of led me to create like a dashboard of this type where we have the products queue. So every product that is like in the outdoor storage boxes, for example, this is the sum of the cost of Google Ads and Meta for this product. This is sales and revenue directly from Shopify, and this is the blended ACOS, right? So this way we understand. So this is how much we're spending on this product. This is the revenue that we are making. This is the blended ACOS that we got in this specific week. So this is week number 7 of 2025. And then we are able to in week number 6, we had a good revenue. In week number 7, the revenue dropped because this product, for example, went out of stock. And that kind of makes it easy to identify why the revenue is going up or the revenue is going down. Are we profitable on certain products? We are not profitable on others, etc., etc. So it's a very, very granular way of seeing things, which is useful if you know the pros and cons of it, really. Sorry, I'm just going back to the stop sharing. If you know the pros and cons, because the thing is, yeah, you see the blended ACOS, but just we need to keep in mind that for a business like a plumbing supplier, for example, like you click on a product that can be a radiator, and then you end up buying the radiator, sun tools, screws, etc., etc. So you end up buying multiple things. So there is a cons that is not always where you spend money actually is reflected in what you're buying. Like you may click on something and then end up buying something else. But the pros of it is that you have a much more granular overview of how things are doing and how things are going as well. And if you work on this concept of marketing efficiency ratio, you can prove that you're spending money on the products that are selling. So I kind of simplify our life. And from a customer perspective, it's kind of easier to understand how this investment is doing overall.
Yeah, it just validates it more, really. As a business owner, if you're looking at it, there's an efficiency that it's creating more revenue than maybe face value. It's great in that sense from a marketing agency point of view and theirs. So no, I get that.
Has anybody got any questions they want to put to Simone about through the customer's perspective of maybe questions that a customer would ask on that? Or if they got any questions in terms of the thinking of it, or if they got anything else they'd like to add. I think really at this point is rather than coming up with solutions, really what we're trying to do is understand what is the problem that we're trying to solve and understanding the kind of the landscape of how this has all come about and why it's important.
I'd like to take the microphone for just a second and share my screen. So Simone, thank you for that explanation, but I was putting together a more basic understanding of marketing efficiency ratios. So maybe people who watch this can use this information to later build this out for themselves and make their own calculations. So this is extremely quick. I literally did this while Simone was talking, but let's say, for example, the whole concept of the marketing efficiency ratio is to see, okay, I have spent X amount of money and I have returned Y amount of revenue. And as we all know, platform revenue and how it reports can be grossly larger than your actual revenue. And that's a very important point with the marketing efficiency ratio. So what I've done here is, for example, on Google Ads, you're spending 10,000, you're getting a 5x return. It's returning 50,000. Meta, you're spending 5, it's giving you a 6x, at least that's what it's reporting. That's 30,000. Organic social, although you don't pay for it in terms of advertising, it still carries a cost and it can still carry revenue. So you can include your organic alongside your paid channels. And okay, say this is how January went. You finished January with 70,000. The platforms reported 97,000 because attribution's just difficult. So you basically take the cost of your platforms, be it advertising spend or the cost of a resource, platform, whatever, and then it gives you your marketing efficiency ratio when you divide 70,000, your actual revenue, by your actual cost.
Right.
So month 1, cool, we've got an idea. And then, hey, you know what? February, I want to, which I didn't spell right, we want to invest, or meta ads, goodness, excuse me, gentlemen. So let's say February, we're coming in and we're like, okay, we want to spend an extra 2,500 on meta ads. Besides the point of what the platform reports, what we want to measure is the entire lift. So we've added 2,500 to meta advertising. It's reported back slightly lower as ROAS figures, but in actuality, what did we see? Okay, it was only a £5,000 increase month over month with a lower marketing efficiency ratio. So it might not necessarily be bad. Also take into consideration things like seasonality, maybe your products aren't as competitive, you've got an out of stock product that sells well, whatever it may be. But this isn't an all-end solution. What it should do is help you understand, if you invest into this thing and it costs you X, what does it actually return? Because like I said, it's difficult to truly understand what's going on with all the channels, but at least this can give you some guidance and understanding of how efficient your marketing is based on which channel you put it in.
The compass. It's like a compass, essentially.
Exactly.
It's great.
So hopefully that was useful.
Yeah, no, it really was. It's one of these tools that you could easily, at the end of each month, you could easily manage that in terms of being able to build that out rather than it getting super complicated. And then it's one of those things that you do for a couple of months and then it drops off. Good to see. I mean, you mentioned about the attribution issue that you got there, and I guess it's the truth in, do you trust your numbers? Sometimes not. Has anybody got any other questions around for Simone around this, or what that approach is, and or any observations on that side of things?
Well, now we've covered the concept, plus what, because I don't expect a client to look at what Simone has done and be able to go back and do the same. But now we've outlined some the ability to micro look at products, the concept of macro, and we can now dig in to see, okay, well, now we know the marketing efficiency ratio per product. What does that tell us?
Or for
Yeah.
I unmuted you.
bloody hell, right? Bloody hell. It's like, okay, I just don't mute myself anymore. Like from a business owner or from a marketing director point of view, like the point here is like every product has a different profit margin. I think everyone here works on an average with different levels of details, like maybe like on an overall average for the business, or an overall average of, as Plum to You does, right? Like Plum to You, the guys that we all follow that sell like plumbing supplies, they divide in high profit margin, medium profit margin, or low profit margin, but overall it's still an average, right? If we work like on a marketing efficiency ratio from a high point of view, it's still an average. But here the point is, like today we went on a call with a UK business in Northampton that sells home furnishing of a high value. And we proposed, why don't you drop the price on 10 products and we see if there is an uplift, right? Here, the point here is, how much profit margin am I losing from a business point of view, right? How much profit margin am I losing? And what is the ideal ACOS that I need to aim for these products now that we're running this test, right? I think this is the core concept of having this granular way of looking at things. Whenever you propose something of this type to the proof, and then you want to prove the concept, you just need to have this level of granularity somehow. Of course, like if you drop the price and increase sales, it goes without saying that something is working, but are you actually losing money or are you actually making money? So that's, if you want to do it at scale, I think the question here is like, how much can I drop my prices still maintaining a certain level of profitability? So what is like my sweet spot? That is the question in my opinion, from a business perspective.
That's fantastic. Nice.
Anybody got any other questions for Simone? Any other points on that? So I'm just conscious of time. Shall we jump into really the last part of this is really where we want to have heard the full story about the way that this is being, sometimes the problem that exists that we're trying to solve, and some of the ideas that we can, or some of the thoughts that we have around and the questions that we want to ask to make sure that we fully understand the problem and being clear on that. And what we can obviously do is feedback ideas on that. And Alex, you've done that, which is cool. So now we fully understand what we're trying to do here. Has anybody got any suggestions? And what we normally would do in this place is like, if I were in your shoes, I would do this, or from a customer's perspective. Anybody thought else on that? So, for example, if I had a business where I've got 1,000 SKUs in a commoditized business, what would be the best way? I suppose this is more of a question, Q&A, I suppose, in that respect. But what would be the best way to approach it if I'm getting bogged down with so much data, and yet you're saying look at the data, but I've always struggled to be able to manage that, and then I end up either not doing it at all, or finding that I only ever end up looking at the macro data and looking at the broader side of things because I'm running a business and I'm looking across all the different finance, operations, sales and marketing, warehousing. Time is a real problem. And I don't know if you've got any pointers on what would be the best way to manage that off.
Well, I would say if unless you're working with one of our agencies who are just the best, as Trump would say.
Is that officially an ad? Is that you placed an ad?
I think so. I think so. Yeah. I'm gonna have an eagle fly over behind me, shouting, just like screaming, "Go America!" Anyway, well, that spreadsheet, it took me about 5 minutes. Five
Yeah.
minutes to put together. I mean, if you're a business owner, in my opinion, what I would recommend you do is look at just rebuilding that. I mean, if you're interested, get in touch. We can build the framework, but lay it out by channel, associate the cost, and measure lift. It shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes to fill out every month, and you can at least start to measure from a kind of holistic point of view what's really going on with your business. So if you invest more into email, what kind of returns? Was it worth the returns? If you invest more into Google, maybe you've hit inefficiencies because you're covering 80% of your market share. So it might be more effective to do in Meta, but whatever. You can at least start seeing what the lifts are when you invest into something to see how effective it is and is it worth the cost that you've put into it. That's quick.
It's an interesting point. It's test, isn't it? We're not suggesting it is a solution, but we're saying, look, you follow your nose.
Exactly. They can give you a quick overview of what happened. The digging, of course, that'll take time, but at least it'll give you the overview.
Great. Okay. Well, let's. If anybody's got any other points they want to make on that, no, all good. So I guess Alex, that just leaves us with a bit of an outro then, just in terms of what we just need to let everybody know about the upcoming sessions, types of things we may be speaking about, and maybe a takeaway. I don't know if you've managed to be able to get a takeaway down from today's chat, but ideally we could maybe wash it up into some short 30-second summary, and then we can just go into giving people some details about the next planned session.
Sure. This is where next call we're going to include AI to do the summary for us. I'm just kidding. But I mean, I think the takeaway here, the main one, is make sure to look at what you're working with, what channel performing how well and where. And if you're having trouble, then honestly, the best thing I recommend even to our teams is if you don't know what you're doing, then find someone who does. All that said, though, I did really enjoy this whole structure. That was maybe a bit too. Anyway, you guys get where I'm coming from. I think next time we can take a similar approach because the first two episodes we did they were a bit more structured, but I liked how this one ended up. We had a kind of constructive conversation, decided on what was good and what was bad this week, and then picked a topic and just ran with it. So I think it felt really organic. We should definitely try that next time. We don't have a particular schedule at this moment in time. It looks like we're filming weekly, so join us next week, please, to find out more information on how you can improve your e-commerce store. The format might be up for question, but the people will be the same, so you'll have some form of standardization. Thank you for everyone's time. This is Beyond the Bid from Suppliant and 94N. I'll see you next week.